Solo lane only. This is for this patch, this is for the upcoming patch, and this will probably stay fairly stable until otherwise directed, okay? So solo lane only. We have our tiers. We'll do base gods, and then we'll do aspects afterwards. You guys know the drill. And I'm going to go in depth because that's what I do, okay? Got it? Should be good. Okay, so first character. And I want to change this a little bit because I want to add a tier. We're going to add the tier B+. The reason we're adding B+ is very simple. I think that... How do I move this up? Oh, shit. Why is this here? Oh, just like this. Sorry, there we go. I think that there's a lot of gods that are like kind of okay, but not quite great. And I think A tier is like good and S tier is great. So I want this tier. I think it's very important. Anyways, let's get to it. So, Achilles, first god, B+. Why is Achilles in B+? So I'm going to over-explain on the first few characters because there's a couple of important precedents and ideas for this role that you kind of need to understand so you see the framework and what's valuable and what's not. And if you understand this concept the next couple of minutes, you're going to have a great understanding of the role and of the game, okay? So, solo lane, historically and almost always in Smite, and currently right now, is not a very high impact role. Now that's by design, okay, right? Because solo lane is supposed to be an isolated lane that has semi-low resources attributed to it because it's 1v1 naturally. So what lanes and what places have the most impact in Smite 2 and really in MOBAs in general across most MOBAs? Duo lane and jungle. Why? Because ADCs need a lot of gold to be online, but once they do get online, they're the best characters in the game. And junglers have the highest map, spread, and impact. And usually the best three roles in the game are support, ADC, and jungle. And jungle is usually the best because they have the most impact on people quickly. Now that's supposed to kind of be the case, actually. Jungle is probably supposed to be the best role in the game. The issue is in Smite 2, it's even overreaching that idea of it being the best role in the game, right? And for that, there's a lot of issues, right? But jungle is the best role in the game. Now, why is that relevant? Why is that relevant to solo lane? Why is that relevant to Smite? Because if you're playing a role that's not jungle, you're playing a role that's not ADC or support, your pick is usually not the game-winning pick, but it absolutely can become the game-losing pick, because if a role is supposed to be relatively low resource from others, and you are very volatile or very unreliable in your character, that can be a very big issue, okay? So typically your high-end solo lane picks are stable, safe, and reliable, okay? And they're able to do a lot with less gold potentially because junglers are going to have a lot of gold and ADCs especially and sometimes mids will have typically more gold than them, okay? So all of that packaged in will kind of help you get an idea of what you want out of your solo laner. Again, I talk about the game from a high-end competitive standpoint. Is this always 100% applicable to ranked? Not necessarily. I don't care. I'm trying to look at the game and how it's meant to be played, not like BS, right? So, Achilles, why is he in B plus with all of that mentioned? His laning phase is very strong. He typically wins most lanes, and he has very good lane fight. However, what are the issues with Achilles? Very, very simple. His clear is not good. And when you're playing a character that has not good clear, even if your combat is good, then you run into big issues of just getting outpaced on the map. If you're not able to get neutrals, being rocks and chest camps consistently because your clear and tempo is just slow, because the builds don't really translate to good clear for this character, you're going to have a lot of troubles. How do you really clear on this god? Well, you level your 3 first, and you dash on the god and hit the minions at the same time, or you just hit them enough to the point that they can't clear, and they're poked out, and you solo them, and you build a big lead. That's the ideal situation, but if that doesn't work because you can't get the kills or you can't take the fight, you're just going to be behind in tempo. That's a really big issue. And the second issue of the Scott is that his actual safety as a laner is not very high. And again, what did we just mention? Junglers inflated, having really high damage, high kill potential. That's a big problem if your god's not that safe. So pretty volatile pick. Obviously, the upsides are high, but if the downsides are realized and present, he can really struggle. So Achilles B plus. Cool. Agni. Again, this is base Agni. We'll talk about aspects afterwards. Base Agni is going to go into B tier. Clutch, thank you for the 2 gifted, dude. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Agni is going to go into the B tier. So, expanding on that solo lane concept from before, if your lane has low resources generally, not every game, but generally, I'm saying a rolling average, what is one of the byproducts of that? You're probably not going to have as much gold as other roles. We talked about that just a little bit ago, right? If you're playing a full damage character in a role that's not getting that much gold, that's kind of a big issue because you're just a behind backliner at that point. Having a backliner in solo is usually worse than having a frontliner. There are special conditions, and obviously we'll talk about those when those gods come up. But for a god like Agni base, if you build full damage Agni solo, which you probably should if you play it base Agni, you're not going to have the best pressure, and you need a lot of gold. Your fight is fine. It's not the worst, and your pressure is not terrible. But you're not going to get ahead of like a top tier solo lane character, and you're going to just provide less, and you take forever to scale, and you just won't reach it, realistically. The game is very snowbally. If you're not able to create an impression the first 10 minutes of the game as a laner, you're probably going to have a bad time. So I still have him in B tier, though, because he has incredible CC and safety, and his utility exists in the fact that he has a stun that's ranged, that's very valuable. So the character is not useless, and his fight is decent enough. But in general, backline solos are just something you should probably avoid. Aladdin. Again, I am factoring in the nerf that is about to come in. I'm going to put him in D tier. I think Aladdin solo sucks already, and the upcoming nerf is going to hurt him even more. Why does Aladdin solo suck? Well, it's why most assassin archetype solos are trash. They can't stat check characters and they have no range. So if I'm playing into a warrior and I'm playing Aladdin, I just lose the 1v1, assuming the warrior is not playing like with their feet. So if I have no range and I can't win 1v1s, that means I'm taking melee trades without the ability to win them. That's a very bad promise. You're also very gold hungry, right? You need a lot of items to get online, and you don't have that range or util that an Agni has. So this character in Soul Lane is just not good, and he's getting worse. So maybe right now I'd be C tier, but with these nerfs, I think D tier is accurate. I could use Soul Lane only tier list as the text. Oh, for people joining? Sure, sure, sure. Well, I'm not gonna do that as I can just change the title though, maybe. Whatever, it's fine. All good. I mean, we're talking about it, though. Everyone will figure it out. Okay, Amma, A tier. So why is Amma an A tier? Very simple. Safe, stable, consistent. That's very valuable. Is her early game fight a little bit worse than Achilles? Yes, obviously. But better clear, better objective secure on the rocks and on the chest camp and stuff. She has the mitts on her too, which helps her feel artificially tankier, even if she has a low gold amount, which is very valuable. And again, that pseudo kind of tankiness is an implied thing that's very important in solo, and you're going to see that reflected in some way on all the top solo laners, one way or another. If you can have a way to become artificially tankier, whether through direct mitts or protections gained or something like that, it's really, really nice. I know Achilles does have that, but with Achilles, again, that safety issue is a big problem. Amma doesn't have that. Your fight's pretty good, your clear's pretty good. You don't need a ton of gold to be relatively tanky feeling, and then the team play with the objectives and stuff is very valuable. So just a solid pick. On her, we'll put it in probably the B tier. I think on her solo is fine. You can argue that if you go like a Golden Blade build with Pen and stuff, like Oathsworn and Titan's Bane, you actually do pretty good damage. You can just kind of go that kind of semi-tank ADC build in solo and do fine. The thing with on her solo that can be a bit weird is I think his spikes are a bit awkward. So, this god has good fight potential, but his clear is not the best. If you're committing your 2 to clear, you can go Golden Blade to circumvent that. But, when you talk about Hunter solos being pervasively strong at times, I don't think it's necessarily on her being the one you're referring to. And with the slight Hunter nerfs coming in, not Hunter nerfs, but like ranged auto attack nerfs coming in this upcoming patch, I don't think on her is going to be a character that ages very well. I think I'd probably put him in B plus before, but B now is probably right about where I'd say. But again, I think he was borderline B for solo lane anyways. Anubis, another A tier god, very good pressure, very good fight. Again, backline solos in general do struggle. However, If a backline solo is able to be effective with building defense, that's a game changer because you want your solo to have some amount of defense, right? Generally speaking. So he's able to semi-tank. He has a lot of protection shredded with the Totem Voidstone builds. That's Cherio's build that he found, but I kind of stole it and it feels awesome. I think this god has a lot of winning lanes, and even if he gets resources attached to him, because he's an unsafe character, the advantage he has over other unsafe soul laners is that he has phenomenal clear. So even if I'm down 0-2 on a guy like Anubis, and I'm down 0-2 on a god like Achilles, my comeback potential on a god like Anubis is significantly higher because I have good farm speed. Granted, if you play relatively safe and stuff, you'll be able to solo generate a lead. You get ganked, you're usually going to forgive your lead rather than get behind. So it kind of is like a resource drain to deal with this god, and I do think he's quite strong. Aphrodite, C tier. Just doesn't do enough in the solo lane. Really solid support, I think. Okay mid. Not enough healing, not enough damage to apply pressure. If you want to apply pressure in solo, you have to go conduit, and then you're just deriving too far from the builds that make her good with high cooldown. And I just don't think it's worth it. It's better than Aladdin because at least you have some range and CC immunity and util, but yeah, it doesn't really work because of the numbers just being kind of weird on this god. Damage after doesn't work anymore either, really. Apollo base. We'll put this in A tier. Apollo base is kind of like Anubis in that you can just build like high pressure, semi-defensive. It's just like a much better on her solo. And yeah, you can build some defense. This is aspect as well. We'll go to that eventually. I mean, I can just put it right now. Why not? Yeah, the pick is miserable because it's just like high pressure cheesiness, and you can build it kind of tanky. You can build the exact same builds on both iterations, and the cross map potential of that Chariot ultimate in team fights and late game is super powerful, whether you're winning or losing. And again, in a snowballing meta, with when a god can exert this much pressure, play so aggressively while still maintaining safety with the self peel he has, it's just a really big problem. Very frustrating pick right now. Ares, C tier. This pick is one of those gods that I really like, but I think has been phased out of the game, at least currently. He does terribly into a lot of the top picks. He's very volatile. He can have games where he has high impact, but also games where he insta loses because he just like, has a bit of a weird laning phase, gets ganked at a bad time, or just isn't able to really get an effective trade because the chains just aren't hitting, or whatever the case might be. The pick is way too risky. I would never seriously consider playing it unless it's like an excessively good Ares game. But so many gods have displaced immunity nowadays. I think the pick is solid, but there's no reason to not play it in support where you will have like stable success. You won't have that in solo. I don't think he's worth playing. Artemis, yeah, not really worth playing. Some Hunter solos have like util and value. This god doesn't have enough pressure as an ADC to have that, and she's too unsafe for lacking that pressure and that self peel. The ult's good, but the 2 and the 3 and the 1 as a solo laner don't really provide that value. Again, one of those things that you just don't really need to pick. Artio is our first S tier, super high pressure with the ranged autos. The movement speed that this character gets from her passive really helps her out in just being very tanky feeling. Again, that kind of added tankiness idea is extremely important in the role, and she's a insta lane bully while still being a tank and preserving that solo lane identity. Displacement immunity made this god very safe as well, and just a super high tier pick as a result. Athena is going to go into the B tier. I think the rotation Athena idea is a little bit hard to make work right now because usually you're sacrificing a lot of farm to do that. And if you're sacrificing a rock chest camp kind of combo consistently to rotate, those rotations have to go so amazingly well that I don't think you're going to be happy more often than not. If you're not rotating on this god, you're just losing lane. But if you're rotating on this god, you're losing a lot of farm for it, so the rotations have to go well. I just think you're putting too much pressure on cross-map fights to work that it's not reliably good enough to pick. That being said, good util, good team fight. If you can get to team fights, you'll probably do pretty well, but you probably won't get there as often as you need to. Wheelix. Yeah, this one's an F tier. At least Aladdin has a Wealth Wish and stuff. This god sucks. Soul Lane, it's abysmal. No range, no damage. Gets stat checked by every solo in the game. It's just terrible. Bacchus base, I'll put in C tier. Aspect is just better for a pressure situation, but This god stat checking wise is very strong. If in theory you can somehow find a way to get base Bacchus to late game, you'll be incredibly good. Just probably won't get there. One of those situations where the pick's like not terrible, but aspect is just way better for solo. Baron aspect will put in A tier. Baron base, excuse me, we'll put in A tier. Pretty good pick, high util, defensively minded as opposed to the aspect. Good damage despite not being aspect still, but not incredible damage. His pressure is like kind of in the middle. But again, you can build the stampedes, the lifebinder builds and stuff, and have a ton of team play, survivability and stuff. So definitely a good pick, just probably better in support. Bologna, I'll put in B plus. I think she lost a lot of space. Um, she's not automatically a lane bully anymore, and I think not being an automatic lane bully is a big issue. So I would not play this character as much as I used to, and I don't see her being played as much. Is she still fine? Yeah, but if you have lanes like the Baron lane that's pervasive, like the Ama lane and the Ardio lane, that's at the very least more common. I mean, Baron and Ardio more so. You're gonna struggle as a laner more often than you should. And I think if Bologna's getting behind consistently, that's just pretty rough, dude. Okay, Cab B plus, literally the exact same issues as Achilles. His upsides are incredible, extremely unsafe, very little range, extremely gankable. Yeah. But the tankiness pendulum builds are awesome. If you can get there, you shouldn't get there. That's kind of the issue. So high upside, high downside, just risky. Cerberus, also going to put in the B plus tier. This god is less like Cab and Achilles. He's very safe, but his pressure is kind of spotty. But again, that safety is extremely valuable because it allows you to be relatively ungankable and you can kind of chill in the lane even if your fight's not incredible. The anti-heal he has is kind of pitiful, but the god damage is okay enough. And again, that safety is extremely valuable for a low resource lane. He does pretty okay. Kerninos base, I think, is just kind of like stupid. I mean, yeah, it's just like a troll pick. It's better than Wheelix, but yeah, probably don't play. Chalk, Chalk's not good, guys. I gotta be honest. I think this god sucks. Yeah, he feels like shit every time I play him. I'm gonna put him in C tier. Um, yeah, base Chalk is just like so shit. Aspect Chalk is also so shit. This guy just does nothing. I'm just gonna go ahead and put Aspect as well here. He's actually the least played god in Obsidian Plus right now, which I checked today, which is insane. Yeah, this god blows. I like Chalk, kind of, not really. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm lying. This guy just doesn't do anything. He's just useless. What's up, Zown? Ardio, really high pressure, good damage. She's just good at everything, honestly. Yeah. So Chalk's a sad one. Chiron. Base Chiron in solo lane, I'll probably put in the C tier. His aspect is really good. We'll talk about that more later. But base Chiron, no real reason to pick him in solo. It just doesn't really make sense. Cupid base, probably another C tier. I think a step below these other backliners, just not really something you go. But at least it's like range damage and it's okay. Some amount of util, better than like a Kern. Daji solo is like a mega F tier, probably the worst solo laner in the game. This shit's unplayable. We'll go ahead and put her aspect in F tier as well. This shit sucks. Alrighty. Now we're going back to. Oh, sorry. How do I? There we go. Danza Burrow. Yeah, Danza's B tier. He's not what he used to be. He got worse. Danza int builds are less good. He's a little bit weird with CC buffering being removed. He also has less one-shot potential with double relic being in the game. I think post new patch, this guy has just fallen off a bit. Probably B tier right now. Not terrible, but not what he used to be. I think before I'd put him in B plus or maybe even A. Definitely, definitely, definitely not the best, unfortunately. Disco solo is not a thing. I'll say C tier because the god's very strong, but one of those picks that you would never play in solo when you could just play it in mid or ADC. ESET base is going to be an A tier. This god is very good. You build her kind of hybridy with base. Aspect is a bit better, but You build her hybridy and you're quite strong. I'm just going to put aspect. Anytime the god and the aspect here is the same, I want to just get that ahead of time in. Aspect E set is quite good. I'll put Disco Aspect as well in C tier. I don't think these picks fit in solo at all. But Aspect and base C set are very good in solo. Just building slightly differently. High utility, good damage, good pressure, good poke. A little bit weaker than in support and stuff, and that's why it's an A tier, but overall very solid pick, just slightly better solos at the very top end, but still good. Fenrir's solo is so garbage, it's unbelievable, but I guess it has some util, so I'll put in D tier. This pick sucks. We'll go ahead and put Aspect in F tier probably. Yeah, please don't play Aspect Fen or Fen in any iteration. This god is just so shit. It's crazy. Yeah, don't do it. Alright. In solo, Aspect Fen, holy moly. Yeah, something dreadful. Base Ganesh is another F tier, don't do it. Just no damage. Base Geb is, I would say D tier, it's a little bit better, but still sucks. Guan Yu base is F tier. There is literally no reason to play this pick ever. He provides nothing. Aspect one is good. Base one, okay, maybe F tier is hard. No, it's not harsh. This god sucks. Okay, Hades. I'll put in B tier. I think Hades B tier is like pretty reasonable. I think B plus is actually workable. Yeah, I'll put in B plus. I think Hades B plus is fine. This god's gotten a good bit better. I think he's not really working with the hybrid builds as much as I hoped, but you build a damage build on this god, it still feels okay. There's some amount of viability on the character, just with the pressure and like blink value. He can go with upgraded blink and stuff. I think he's fine. Yeah, definitely not a terrible pick by any means. A guy that definitely has been on the up in the more recent patches. Hecate solo, probably a C tier. You could argue D tier, honestly, but the god's very good, so that's kind of pulling her up. This god's just so much better in mid, doesn't really fit in the role. Hercules, another S tier. This god has been over buffed, and Bumbas is getting even better next patch. Very, very, very good scaling. He's just so tanky with his passive now being buffed, and he's a top end pick now, unfortunately. Uh, I think he's been over buffed, which is a shame. Before this last patch, I probably would have put him in like A tier, maybe B plus, but yeah, this last buff was just insane. Hoi solo, probably B tier, very safe. Have to build it full damage to make it work, but he's safe enough that it can kind of work. Just like, again, you don't really want full damage solos most of the time. Mulan will put in the A tier. I think she's markedly better than these characters because although she's relatively unsafe, the banner gives you some pseudo safety and your clear speed and fight is a little bit more consistent overall, even from behind, I'd say. So I think she's just a better Achilles slash Cab slash Bellona right now. Hunbat's solo is dreadful. I like this god, but he sucks in solo lane. D tier or F tier, I think, is reasonable. I'll probably put him in F tier. I don't think it works at all. Izanami, high pressure, extremely unsafe. Probably a B tier, because at least the pressure can kind of cheese out for you. I think C tier is more fitting. She's so unsafe that I just don't think it's ever worth playing. Giannis solo at this point, probably another C tier. Doesn't really get it done, just does no damage. This character sucks, but at least he's safe, so like I'll give him that. But yeah, he just doesn't do enough. Jing Wei is going to go up to B tier. I think pre Dagger of Frenzy nerf she was probably B plus, but this character isn't consistently reliable enough from a solo lane POV at this point in time. Her fight's just not stable enough without a dagger rush in my mind. What's up, Molds? Alright, Jormungandr. Yorm took a bit of a spill, but I'm still gonna say he's an S tier solo laner. I think he's still one of the best gods in the role. And yeah, anti-heal application is solid. Laning phase is very strong. He's a very low resource requiring god. He can build a huge lead on his own while being a frontliner. That's usually not something you see in the game. And he does pretty well into Herc and Artio, who are two other S tier gods, so that like helps him out as well. Again, the nerfs you do feel a little bit on Triton's Conch, but you can just rush other items if you have to, and I think he's a-okay. Kali, I think B tier's fine. I think the Inkali builds are like okay. They're not complete shit, but yeah, the upside does exist. The downside does exist. I think Kali, one way or another, will at least create some kind of impact. I think Chalk creates no impact, so I would say she's better than Chalk. I know that sounds probably crazy, but yeah, I'm probably with that. Kepri's an easy F tier. Cuckoo non-aspects like C tier. This pick's just kind of forgettable and not needed. Loki base is probably F tier. He just gets stat checked all the time and just can't do anything. Um, Medusa is probably B tier, some amount of damage, relatively low safety, but the burst potential is very high. So kind of like closer to the Achilles's of the world, but obviously a hunter, so not gonna have a tank build that works for Mercury solo. I'll put in D tier, at least like you can go Golden Blade and stuff. It's not that bad, I guess. Merlin, another B tier. I think the hybridy builds kind of work. They just take so long to scale, but the damage potential is very good. Even in the mid game, if you're getting your auto cancels off, it just kind of case by case. If you have a relatively free lane into another backliner or like even like certain frontline solos like that can't really gap close as well. Like I think even Jormungandr is like one of them. You'll actually be kind of okay. Mordred's probably A tier, higher ends, but yeah, if he was like an A plus tier, I'd put him there. He's A tier though. Pretty good character, just falls off a cliff late game potentially and can struggle really hard in certain drafts, especially when backliners get ahead and stuff, which is pretty common. So bit rough, but his ultimate is so good that kind of helps him out. LaFay, I think B plus is a fine spot to put her. The tank LaFay solo builds are pretty good. I do like them actually quite a bit. But just like less util and value than like a Baron or an E-set, obviously. Base Naja sucks. In solo, I'd probably put in D tier. At least you have the Satchel combo, but Aspect is just so much better. Neath solo is like another B tier. Definitely fell off a little bit, but I'll put in B plus. I think she's a bit better than some of those other ones. She at least has like good damage in the ult and stuff like that for the semi-global. But the Neath builds in solo are definitely a bit weaker with how expensive they are and stuff. But she can have some pretty good lanes and stuff at least. Nem is currently bugged, but I'd probably put her in the C tier. I think this guy does nothing in solo. Maybe B tier. C tier is a little harsh. We'll put her in B tier. I just don't think she does enough. She's stat checky, but good players should just be able to kill this god off cooldown, or she'll do nothing. A bit of a noob stomper, but I guess like the ultimate's good, and her shield is very strong, so I'll give her that. Probably just not a pick you'll be playing. Nuwa base sucks. It's very safe at least, so I'll put it in C tier, but it does no damage. New base is I mean, to be honest, I have to put in C tier. I really like this character, but it's just fallen off so hard. It feels like she does no damage. These Sphere of Negation rushes just kill her. Her damage is so inconsistent. She's so unsafe. It's just not worth playing. Odin solo is going to go into the B plus tier. This god is good as a team fighter, but his laning phase is kind of weird. So much better as a jungler that there's no point of playing him in solo. That's just kind of how it is. Osiris is our extra S tier character. Super, super good. Mitts means that no matter how much gold I have in my build, I'm tanky, right? So if you're a solo laner and you have high mitts just for spawning in, that's really good, naturally, right? It's literally an Amaterasu mirror at all times when you're in your passive plus 1%. So yeah, there's literally no argument against that. That's just very strong, right? Pele, base, also for OC you have the Sundering Axe poke kind of play, so that's a big deal. Pele for base, I mean you can stat check people kind of. It's just so like volatile and full damage. I guess I'll put in C tier. It's probably not the worst thing in the world. It's better than these gods probably, but yeah, I just wouldn't play it ever. Yeah. I maybe this one's tough. No, I think it's fine in C tier. I mean, C or D tier, you shouldn't be playing these guys either way. So like, does it really matter? Probably not. Poseidon B tier, better pressure, good fight. I think actually a lot of hidden burst ability that a lot of mages don't feel like they have. He is kind of unsafe though, but the amount of movement speed this guy has kind of like makes him work a little bit. I'm actually like kind of high on Poseidon. I think he's sneaky decent right now as a mid laner. Bari, I mean, I like this god a lot. I'll put her in C tier in solo because she's so unsafe. Like, Poseidon is kind of unsafe, but she is so unsafe. You have to dash a lot on this character, and you're kind of just like a prime gank target. And you don't want that. Again, very expensive, so to get her build online, excuse me. So it's like tricky to make that work in solo. Raw, another kind of C tier god. Pressure is fine, but it's like you need setup. You're playing by yourself. It's not really a good combo. Doesn't really work. Rama solo is I think right there with Izanami, honestly. Maybe actually worse. I'll put it in D tier. I think this god has pressure, but he's just so like not like a full auto attacker, especially with this upcoming patch. I just don't think works in the role at all. When it has like nothing else to show for it, right? Scylla base, it's safe. I'll put in C tier because of that, but yeah, not really a pick you should be playing. Sobek, I think, is B plus tier. I'm very happy to say that this god doesn't suck anymore in the role. He's still a better support than Solo for sure. But Sobek Solo is playable, and that really makes me happy because this god was unplayable for so long in this game. One of the worst gods in the game in solo lane. But having some buffs to the cooldown, conduit, and like Bluestone giving it now, as well as a little bit more I think, how do I frame this? A little bit less like resources towards solo actually helps this god in a lot of ways because he's not like engaging necessarily in fights unless they're gank fights, which he can set up for pretty well. And he doesn't have to worry about these like hyper scaling, I'm going to steal your back camps while you're still clearing the wave issues because those back camps are gone, right? So post nuke patch, he was like slowly ascending and then this buff really helped him out. Soul, from a pure like steamroll potential, I think when you have a character that just has the ability to just like win the game instantly, just off of like pure independent lead building, it's incredibly oppressive, and I don't think there's any god in the game that does it as well as Soul. The problem is this character is unsafe, so you have to pick your spots a little bit, but the upside is just insta winning the game. The downside is I didn't build a lead to a high enough degree, and we just lost the game because of it. But I think the amount of pressure it exerts for free for doing nothing is so high that like it's kind of unignorable, and it's very reminiscent of like an Apollo solo thing, except it gives less util. But again, the damage pressure creation, like if you're in a game and you can create that much pressure on your own, you need a jungle to counter that immediately, and even if you can't build a tanky, like that is such a drain when you factor in that if I have a pressure dual lane and a pressure solo lane, I can maybe just blast the map open and it's like, what do? You know what I mean? You have to pick one of these characters realistically and probably not even Herc or like some of these A tier characters to deal with this pick. And if you can't, you're just like fucked. So that's very powerful. Wukong has really risen up. He's an A tier solo laner for sure right now. The stat buffs plus the small buffs he's gotten over time has really helped this god. His early lane laning phase is pretty good. And yeah, helps him out big time. Definitely a solid pick. Just good poke with Sundering Axe. If you go Bluestone, you just use the procs. And the stable kind of laning phase he now has, not now has, but has better with like better base stats and stuff, has really given this god some opportunity to just be like a true tank that's very safe. That's the big thing on him. Very, very safe. Susano really sucks. I'll put him in D tier because at least he has more all-in potential, but he just doesn't win the stat check fights, really. Sylve base, I think, is like fine. I'll put in B tier. It's probably a bit high looking, but this guy has so much utility and his lane pressure is not that bad that like it's actually quite good. That I think he can kind of work. I mean, I wouldn't rush to pick it, but like he's sneaky decent, probably underplayed in solo because his support's pretty good. But Yeah, really not the worst pick in the world. Thanatos base really fell off. I'd probably put it in B tier, maybe. Yeah, I'd probably put in B plus before, but with Dagger Frenzy nerf, I think B tier is probably the right spot to put it. You could argue C tier. I think, you know, I'm gonna put Aspect here because again, same rank. Um, off of the top of my head, so why is it not showing the other aspects? Oh, here it is. So I think it's fine to just put those two together. Yeah, B tier, I mean, it's weird. Like I almost want to put them in a C plus, but that's fine probably. And yeah, like I know it sounds crazy, but I'd rather have a Thanatos than a chalk. Can you explain what you're referring to when you say stat check? Okay, so basically like these gods have no range, right? They have to commit to a fight to take a trade. And if you commit to a fight to take a trade, you have to win that trade for it to be good. Because again, you can't play the poke, you can't play these semi-committal trades most of the time because you have to like commit yourselves positionally to get to do something. And if your character can't win those fights that they're committed to, you're just gonna fight the other guy and he's just gonna kill you, right? That's like the issue with a lot of these assassin solos. Is if I'm playing, let's say, Loki solo base, and I walk at an Osiris and try to hit him with my 3, I'm just gonna die. Like there's nothing I can do. You know what I mean? And if I play 2s and I just hide the entire lane and do nothing, I'm gonna fall down 3,000 gold. Same with Susano. I have no range. Uh, if I want to fight, I have to like kind of walk in. I have gap close, but I don't have range to like hit the wave from afar besides my 3. And if I'm doing that, I'm just falling so far behind I can't play. The Morrigan. Base, honestly, S tier, this was something that we can put, and I agree. I mean, I think this god is insane. She's been in competitive forever, so we'll never get to see it. But this god is so unbelievably overpowered as a tank that it's just like ridiculous. Damage Mori sucks, but Tank Mori is the most like overstated OP shit in the world. You get so many actives nowadays with all the relics, and it's just like a complete nightmare to play into. This god is ridiculously OP. If she was allowed in competitive, she would be banned every single match, but unfortunately, she's not allowed in competitive because of legacy bugs that don't even exist. Sucks, but it is what it is. Base Thor, uh, I'd put it in B tier. Obviously Aspect is just so much better, but this god's damage is incredible, just a bit risky. But yeah, the damage on this god is so insane that you should probably try it at least sometimes. It is very fun. Tsukuyomi is going to go in the B plus tier. He has good poke. He's the only assassin solo that's not like Aspect Thor that I really, really like. Um, I think his poke potential is really good. Some of his lanes are a bit weird, but if you go into like a lower range solo laner, like a Bologna or a really even a Mordred, if you play the first two levels quite well, you can actually kind of just like poke him out and build a lead and then sort of snowball it with the rocks and stuff. Feels pretty good. So I think Suki solo is like fine. Just better in jungle. It's tricky with these gods, you know? Uller solo is I think B tier. I think Uller ADC jungle and mid is so much better that it's like not really worth playing in this role. You feel the need to like yeah, it just doesn't really work. I don't know. And to a lot of backliners in the solo lane, they kind of outclear him. In the very early lane, he gets a little bit behind and he never really catches up. This god's very OP, but just not in this role. Definitely a jungle mid ADC type of god overall. You might say like, well, isn't mid lane and solo kind of similar in some ways, depending on the matchups? Not really, because mid laners are getting so much more farm from different places that's not necessarily contestables, right? So like their back camps and stuff that he will be able to build these like leads, especially through like the 2v2 fight in the first like 4 levels with the jungler. That's just not really reflective in solo. Because again, those first like 5 minutes of the game are so important, and Uller mid really excels there. Solo, not as much. It's okay, but not amazing. Vulcan base, another B tier god. I mean, the pressures are really good. Does it really fit? Not really, but it's got like more safety overall, and the turret spam and stuff is like frustrating. Aspect's probably better, but still about there. Shibalanke, yeah, just doesn't really work in the role. Yamoja base, Um, yeah, it doesn't really work in the role either. Ymir, actually very good. This character as a pressure machine is insanely good. He's actually a lot safer than you'd imagine due to like stampede rushes, and he kind of can just like bully out bullies, right? Like a lot of the time you lock in a Mordred or you lock in a Mulan or you lock in a Hercules or something, and you expect to just have automatic lane pressure. Not really the well, maybe not Herc as much, but maybe nowadays with the buffs. Not really the case into this one. He's a tricky guy to deal with, and that flexibility with the solo support means a lot of people see Ymir, they lock in whatever solo, and if the pick is like really bad into Ymir, it's a brutal time. He's very good at building a lead. The big bait is to play for kills. Don't play for kills, just play to farm the neutrals and stuff. You should build a lead. And yes, you are semi-gankable, but again, you can literally go Stampede first because your damage is so good that you become very safe very quick, or even a Yogi's Rush, and you end up not really being gankable realistically because you don't need to play up for solos, and you can build defense first while still doing damage, and that's a luxury most gods just don't have. Zeus solo, I'd say B tier. I mean, it's okay. The movement speed and stuff is nice, but not crazy. Yeah, kind of just like similar explanation to like the Hui's of the world and stuff. Hybrid builds are like meh. You want to go damage, but that can be a bit weird. Achilles aspect in solo lane is like super F tier. Yeah, you would literally never do this. It's just such a worse version of the base god that it's just like stupid, right? Aspect Agni, I think, is B plus. It's better pressure than base Agni. The golden bladed builds do work, but ultimately, like having a true frontline solo is generally better than these golden blade on hit solo laners unless they provide such great utility and value and stuff that he doesn't quite. Like I think Apollo Aspect's just a better version of Agni Solo, but it's not, like terrible. Amaterasu Aspect is garbage. Please never play it. Just does nothing better than base Ama. Again, realistically, like is Aspect Achilles actually F tier? It's probably like D tier or maybe C tier, but it's literally just a significantly worse version of the base character that like functionally you are trolling if you lock it in. On her aspect, very similar deal. Again, is it actually F tier? Maybe not, but it's just a worse version of the base god. Why would you do that? Shocker, same thing with this one. Artemis aspect got buffed. I'm actually going to put it in D tier because it's not that. It's different enough that it's not clearly worse. It's definitely worse, I think. I'll put in C tier with her. I'm not sure it's worse because at least like you get to use the traps. The traps are definitely weaker, but at least you get to use them. So I'll put it with her in C. Uh, RDO aspect solo is definitely worse, but it's not like it's different enough that I'm not going to say it's definitively worse every game. I'll put it in B plus. I think the Druid stance heal spam has like a level of like Guan Yu aspect ideas, where it's like you can kind of just heal spam and it kind of works. Um, but you're very killable. That's the big issue with the non-aspect druid version or the aspect druid version. And then if you go bear, the bear builds don't really work anymore. You don't have movement speed. It's a big issue. So I think B plus is actually a bit generous. I'm gonna put her in B tier for aspect. Athena aspect is not something you should do in solo ever, really in general ever. Bacchus aspect is going to go into the B plus tier. I think it's pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. Definitely helps the Scott out clear wise. Pretty underplayed. Should be played more. Baron aspect going to go up to the S tier with these gods. Very, very good pick. Want to play it. Very high pressure. Great fight. Great poke. Super good character. Don't need to build a ton of damage. Just go Lifebinder and you're all set with Conduit. That's all you need. Bologna aspect, I think just a worse version of Bologna, but I guess you have a bit of util. I'll put in B tier. Cab aspect sucks. It's so much gold you need for it to like do anything, but at least it's ranged, kind of. And it has a combat blink type of thing, so that's kind of cool. I guess I'll give it that. Aspect Serb is a worse version of the base god. That'll go in D tier. You want the pull on your ultimate And for you to stack this thing, you have to jump on people, which is just not something that's reliably a good idea. Aspect Kern. It's very good pressure, so it's actually better than base Kern probably, but it's like the most coin flippy shit of all time. It's like Soul Solo, except it's melee. That's the best way to put it. And again, yeah, the damage there works, but like, I don't know, dude. You are such a useless character half the games that you can make an argument this is like a B tier god and also an F tier god. So I think C tier I'll settle with. It's so unpredictable and like it kind of can work and just win you a game if you cheese somebody. But if you're into a solo laner paying attention who's just like not playing something complete trash and he doesn't let you get like a level 1 blink off and out pressure him, you kind of don't do anything, I think. So at least he has like some winning potential plays. Chiron aspect I think is quite good. Put it in the B plus tier. I'll actually put it in the A tier. I think Chiron aspect is like Apollo aspect tier level. Very high pressure. The damage buff is incredible. Util with the cleanse, the shield ultimate. Quite good. I think it works. You know, Chiron aspect is one of those picks that just sort of works and has good team play and stuff that I think is better than a lot of the things. Again, you are building this god semi tanky, right? Cupid aspects. Yeah, I'll put it with base Cupid. I kind of missed this one. This one's just like sort of the same thing. More util, which is nice, but less damage hurts the god. You don't really get the pressure you would get on like a Chiron, and you don't have the level of util a Chiron has. Danzaburo aspect is definitely just a worse version of Danzo. I'll put in C tier. Ganesha aspect is like okay-ish. I'll put it in B tier. Yeah, he has very little range and his util is like quite low. So if you're into a character that can stat check you, you kind of get farmed. But if you have a semi okay lane, I'm talking Hades, Sobek, Bacchus, because his range is quite low. Uh, who else? I think like oddly enough, Amaterasu, maybe Hercules. You'll actually kind of do fine. Geb aspect is going to be in B plus. I suck with this thing, but the amount of pressure this thing exerts is so high that you can just insta win the game. It's very much like a soul, except slightly less consistent. But the upside of this god just like eating the whole map is like a big real threat, and it can actually work. Guan Yu aspect's gonna go into the A tier. This is a better support than Soul Laner, but this god is so OP right now. He is getting nerfed. With these nerfs coming in, I think this god is still OP, but a little less OP. So maybe this will fall to B plus, but I'm gonna put an A tier precautionarily. And yeah, Hekate aspect is going to go into the F tier. This sucks. Please do not play it. It's just garbage. Yeah, this aspect needs to be reworked. I don't know what else to say. Aspect of preservation. Unfortunately, I'm the only person in Obsidian Plus. Obviously, I'm in Deity. Hooray me, but I think I'm the only person above 4,000 elo according to the stats who has played this aspect initially. A couple people played it afterwards because I was playing it and I was spreading false propaganda, but this shit is so bad that it's unbelievable. Now, if you play aspect Herc, you'll do fine because Herc is OP, but this aspect is garbage. So again, is aspect of preservation actually F tier? No, but it's just a worse version of the other god. With these other aspects where they're like worse than the base, like, RDO aspect and Bologna aspect, they do enough meaningfully to move the needle that there is another playstyle for the character. In my opinion, that is worse, but it's at least a different playstyle. These aspects are just worse versions of the initial character for the role of Soul Lane, and potentially the entire game. Hui aspect in solo is going to go into the Mm, I'll put it in the D tier. I'm not quite putting it in F tier, and I'm not going to quite put it in B tier, obviously. The problem with Hui Aspect is I think it's actually quite good, but not in solo lane. The problem with Hui Aspect is you need somebody to clear and push for you, so you get your ricochets off. You can't do that if you have to be the person clearing and pushing and you're alone. So in solo, it just doesn't match the character at all. So, Hunbat's Aspect, another F tier. This guy cannot clear a wave in Solane for his life. It's unfortunate. Jormungandr Aspect, I will put in S tier with Yorm. I'm not a huge Jormungandr aspect player, but it is very good. It just depends on the player you are. I prefer base. Most NA solo laners prefer base. Most EU solo laners tend to prefer aspect. Just depends who you ask. Kali aspect is not good. This one's terrible, actually. Please don't play it. Khepri aspects, it's still Khepri solo. I guess it's better, but like, it's still F tier. Cuckoo aspect's quite good. We'll put it in the A tier. Good damage, good poke, pretty sustainable with the Yogi's builds and stuff, and it feels sad to play against. So I would recommend picking up this character if you want to be a menace. Oh man, we gotta like take a deep breath for this one. Loki aspect. Loki aspect. I get asked about this shit every single day. Loki aspect is so good, right? It's OP. I saw it in my rank game. It popped off. Professor Loki made a video about it. I saw it do good in Platinum 1. Loki aspect must be OP. This shit is B tier at best. I'm going to be nice and put it in B+, but realistically it's probably B tier. This god does very little, okay? Just being honest with you. What I will give it is that he is a stat checking, no utility, no CC god, but at least he can do a lot of damage. And you might be like, oh, but he gives mitts. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Osiris spawns in with those mitts and he actually has poke. This god is not it. But he can do a lot of damage while rushing defense. That's a very rare trait because his base damage is very good. And a lot of gods can't do that. There's very few gods that can rush a defense item in solo and still have relevant damage. Mulan is one of them. Artio is one of them. Jormungandr is one of them. Osiris is kind of one of them. But the list is, like, generally speaking, not very long for, like, actual frontliney gods. And that is valuable because you can rush, like, a Yogis or you can rush, like, a, well, I mean, it's not really, like, yeah, like, Yogis would be the only example that I think that really fits. I guess you technically could rush, like, a Glad Shield, but you never would. You could rush Brawlers, but that gives power, so it doesn't really count. Point is, though, is you can rush Yogis on this god and still do damage. That is valuable to a degree, but again, this god is the most, like, noob trap, I'm better than you god, and if you're better than somebody and you're owning with Loki aspect, like, great, but, like, just play a better god and you'll be fine. Again, it's not the worst thing in the world, but its actual case value is super unnecessary when you just factor in I could just play like Osiris or Amma or Mulan and just like do the same thing but better. Maybe throw Amma out of there. Osiris, Mulan, and Mordred and do the same thing but better in Wukong, right? So yeah, B+, a bit generous, but I'll put him in B+. Merlin aspect is, yeah, probably the same level as base Merlin. For solo lane, I think for mid lane, it's probably base Merlin definitely being better, but aspect Merlin I think in solo is about the same. Mordred base again is not actually that bad. If you played it, you'd be fine, but it's just a worse version of Mordred that provides nothing different of value. So there's no point of playing it. I'll put it in F tier. Lefay aspect is different enough that I have to rank it differently, but it is definitely worse. There is some stuff going around that this aspect is good. I don't see it. I gotta be honest with you. I think this aspect sucks. I'm gonna put it in D tier, I think. I maybe this is one of those takes that's just going to maybe it's one of those takes that's just gonna like fall off a cliff, but I don't think this aspect's good. It has no range. No range is not good. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it is melee autos that are trash. Her melee autos suck. This god is different enough that I'm not going to just automatically put her in F tier, even though it is objectively worse in every way. So I'll at least put her in D tier. But I literally see zero upside to this character in aspect. Yes, you have this dash ultimate that's actually very good, but it's so telegraphed and obvious, and that's the only good thing about the character that it just like doesn't make sense to pick. I really don't get it. I don't get why people think this aspect's good. Seriously, I think it's like so shit. The autos hit for like 10. It's just terrible. The one is super cool. But the 2 and 3 don't really fit the character that well. I mean, the 3 kind of does, the 2 not so much. I just think it's not good. Naja Aspect is going to go into the A tier. I'm not quite ready for him in S tier because I think he's kind of unsafe, but the upside in damage post buff is very, very good. I think this pick is very solid and definitely a character I would recommend playing. Neath Aspect is good. Is it a solo lane aspect though? Not really. It's very different than base Neath, but I do think it's worse for solo lane. I'll put it in B tier. I think that's fair. Nem Aspect is kind of bad. It's different enough from base Nem that I won't put it in F tier. But would I put it in C tier? Yeah, probably. I think it's, I don't know. I'll put them next to each other. I don't think either of them are like super amazing. They're kind of Loki Aspect-esque to me, but Loki Aspect's better. It's just like stat checky assassins that don't really provide that much. Nuwa Aspect is definitively better than base Nuwa. That doesn't mean it's amazing. I'd put in B tier. Low execution, high damage, a lot of scaling, but at least safe. So it doesn't really fit the role, but the safety and the global value I think exists, so it's not like horrible. Nude Aspect with the Golden Blade kind of Chiron-esque build is not terrible. I'll put it in B tier. I think it's better than base Newt. But yeah, not what he used to be, which is a good thing. Aspect Osiris, I think, is A tier. I do think it is worse than base, to be honest. At this point, I think it kind of is just a victim of the nerfs it's gotten through time. Also, a lot of solo builds are tankier than they used to be, especially in early levels, so he has less 100 to 0 potential. But the pick is still good. It's definitely still good. I just think base is a bit better, so I'll put it in A tier. Pele Aspect is probably B tier if I'm being objectively honest. I really don't like this pick, but at least it has frontline ability. It's just a stat check god, though, very much like Nem. Poseidon Aspects, I think, is just terrible. I'll put that one in F tier. I don't think it's hugely different from base Pos, but it's just worse. Raw Aspect is like C tier. It just does very little. I'll put it with base Raw, I guess. I mean, it's different. It's lower pressure, probably, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't play it. Rama Aspect is like so shit. It's unbelievable. That's an easy F tier. Scylla Aspect is another C tier one with base Scylla. Scylla Aspect doesn't really work because Scylla Aspect needs to get stacks and you just won't get that in solo. But at least it's like, a tanky, like, you kind of build it like you do Afro or Baron or something, and it can at least kind of work from that front. Sobek Aspect is shit. Please don't play it. Does nothing. Love the god, but man, this aspect is garbage. Yeah, it's technically different enough that you could argue it's like a different playstyle, but it's just a worse version of base Sobek. Just trust me on that one. Soul Aspect is different enough that I'll rate it, but it's bad. Just like loses all the pressure that base Soul has, so I'll put it in C tier. Wukong Aspect is abysmal nowadays, which is great. I'll put it in C tier as well. Um, if you're building this god like, tank Wukong with like the double knockup, it sucks. I'm rating this for in Wukong because the tank, knockup double Wukong thing is so shit. I just put that in F tier instantly. But the Int Wukong is a different playstyle. It's a different god. It's just not good anymore, thankfully. Aspect Sylve is probably going to be C tier. I think at this point it's just way better to play base Sylve. You lose too much utility, but you do gain pressure. I don't think the util gain lost for the pressure gain is worth it, to be honest. I'd rather you just play a different god that has more pressure or more util with pressure combined. I would actually recommend base Sylve over Aspect Sylve probably. Morrigan Aspect is kind of just in the same line as base, to be honest. It's one of those things that, like, with the tank build's a big problem. I'm going to put it in. The thing is, it feels really clunky because of its nerfs. So is it as good? I don't think so. I think I'll put it in A tier because, like, there are more cripples in the game and there's more CC kind of like locks with like the silences and the hurt combos and stuff like that with how jarringly it feels. It's not buggy, but it feels really bad to use. I'm gonna put it down a tier. But it is still just like Tank Mori, right? If this is Damage Mori, both these picks are like sinking to like B tier, maybe C tier. But Tank Mori with this is still like super frustrating. Thor Aspect Solo still in S tier, is getting nerfed a bit. I don't think it'll matter. Still a super strong pick. Aspect Suki should be reportable. We'll put that right in the F tier. Vulcan Aspect, um, I think fell off honestly pretty hard post nerfs. I'll put it in B tier. It's very annoying still, but it's not what it used to be. Just a lot less damage. Aspect X-Ball is another reportable pick. And then Aspect Emoja is fun, but very unreliable. I'll put it in D tier. And yeah, I think that'll be it, guys. So I know I kind of speed in the last ones, but they were like largely not super relevant. So yeah, no real new news with those. And that'll be our solo lane tier list overall. So for the YouTube folks, when I upload this, let me know what you think. Let me know what you hate, are surprised by, love, have questions about further. I know some of them I have to like kind of go through a bit quicker.